Mr. Bowden, let me explain our process to you. I'm going to read some information into the record, and then we're going to conduct a parole interview with you. And at the appropriate time, we will allow those persons who wish to have input to speak. Speaking in opposition to your parole today is Mr. Jeffrey Williams, Sr., Ms. Valerie Williams, as well as Mr. Randy Meyer with the District Attorney's Office in Jefferson Parish. Also on Zoom, but not speaking, is Faith Williams, Annette Knight, and Jeffrey Williams, Jr. Do you understand? And at the end of that, you'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to the panel, and then we'll vote. Do you understand our process?
Yes, sir.
This is the matter of Patrick C. Bowden, DOC number 759238. Date of birth, September the 15th, 1980. He's a first-time offender. He has a parole eligibility date of February the 15th of 2024, adjusted good time date of June 15th of 2025, and a full-term date of May the 14th of 2035. He is serving a 15-year sentence on charge of 2 counts of cruelty to the infirmed, having been sentenced on March the 31st of 2021. Mr. Bowden, is that information all accurate?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bowden, your case has been assigned to me, so I will begin our interview process. Excuse me, Mr. Bowden, how old are you, sir?
42.
And how long have you served on this particular sentence?
As of right now, 3 years.
Mr. Bowden, how far did you go in school?
High school, 12th grade.
You graduated high school?
Yes, sir.
And what about your work experience? Tell me a little bit about your work experience.
Work experience, I did hospitality work, worked in the hotel industry, grocery stores, did a little bit of marine surplus work, and then pretty much that's it.
Tell me how you came to work for the Cerebral Palsy Agency. How did you get that job, and what kind of work did you do for them?
Through a family friend of the victim's family member. They told me they were looking for somebody to help with Jeffrey Williams, Jr. I said, okay, let me try and give it a shot.
What was your experience? What kind of work did you understand it to be?
I wasn't totally clear about it, but I thought it was basically making sure he was all right while he was asleep, making sure he was taken care of. Until I went through. Sorry.
You were familiar with Mr. Williams' family. You were his sister, I believe, was your girlfriend at the time. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So did you know Mr. Williams?
Yes.
So you knew what kind of condition he was in?
Yes.
And how old were you when you went to work for Cerebral Palsy?
I was 38, 39.
Let me ask you, Mr. Bowden, are drugs or alcohol involved? Do you have an issue with drugs or alcohol?
No, sir.
Have you ever done drugs, illegal drugs?
No, sir.
You ever drank alcohol? I mean, to an extent to where it's an issue? Do you drink? I mean, I'll ask you.
Not full-fledged, but like occasionally.
Okay. You have had, thank you, Mr. Wise. You have had 2 previous DWIs.
Correct.
What were those about? My experience is if a person has had 1 or 2 DWIs, they probably were driving after having been drank probably 10, 15 times. You don't just get caught each time you drive after having drank. So tell me a little bit about your drinking issue. What did you drink?
Mainly, I'm a beer drinker, sometimes a few shots, and those 2 particular incidents, I had too much to drink. Thought I could handle driving behind the wheel, and I couldn't.
So Mr. Bowden, I'm going to be real honest with you. I've read the report, and I'm at a loss to know how someone could do something. So tell me what was going on with you that caused you to commit these horrible acts. I mean, many of them are on video. So tell me what happened. Well, first off, tell me, why did you take the job?
I thought I was helping out the family, but I didn't. Once I realized I thought I could handle it, was thinking I was doing a good job until the incident happened.
Well, let me see if I'm not mistaken. It's my understanding this began the first day you went there. The very day you went to take care of Mr. Williams was the first day you began to abuse him. That's what your statement says. Is that wrong?
No, sir.
So tell me why you knew him, you knew what condition he was in, you went to work there, and you began to abuse him. So tell me, explain to me why.
Honestly, sir, I was going. I took out what I was dealing with in myself on the wrong person at the wrong time, and I'm sorry for it. Now, because I've learned from what my mistake was when it happened, I've learned from it. I'm changed. I'm not that person who I was back then.
What was going on with you that you would do this
thing? I guess the loss of my mother before this, it just started to hit me, and I was just once again, that I took out the anger of the loss of my mother on the wrong person, a vulnerable young man like himself. I'm paying the price for it now. I realize that.
Have you ever had a mental health evaluation or any sort of an evaluation, emotional evaluation?
I was scheduled to have one before I got locked up through a psychiatrist back at home. And it never, when I got locked up this last time for this situation, I supposed to have a meeting with a psychiatrist.
How long did you work for cerebral palsy? What's the duration of the time you abused Mr. Williams?
Started in I'm not sure when the dates.
Oh, how long? Roughly how long?
Probably about 6 months.
At any time during that time, did you seek out any sort of treatment, any sort of help? I mean, you had to know what you were doing.
I was the beginning stage. No, I haven't until I realized when I got released the first time with the situation, I was going to seek help then. But before that,
you say you were released the first time. You got arrested and you bonded out?
I got arrested the first time. It was overcrowding. They let me go home.
How long were you out?
Probably about a week. Then went back, bonded out, and I was out for probably 4 months. And then I got.
During that 4 months, you never sought any kind of treatment?
I was getting ready to see, I was going to see treatment. I went to a psychiatrist who I thought I was going to see. He was recommending me to another psychiatrist. And before I got arrested this last time, I was getting ready to go see that psychiatrist. But
Mr. Bowden, tell me what you did. Tell me how you abused this young man.
Pulling on his nose, headbutting him, putting a pillow over his face, what was the basic, what I thought was, what to me now, when I see both sides of the story, what I thought was just me trying to interact with him because he was bedridden and couldn't get up and do things like a normal person could. I thought with me doing what I did was not abuse, but now that I realize it is.
What did you think it was? On what level did you think that wasn't abuse?
None. No.
In addition to the 74 counts of cruelty, you also were charged with 5 counts of sexual battery. What did you do in that regard? I know you didn't plead to that, but what did you do in that regard?
Well, part of my duty with taking care of Mr. Williams Jr. was I had to change his diaper, make sure he stayed clean and dry. And I really didn't do anything I didn't think I didn't do anything sexually to him, but all I did was wipe his private area, put his diaper back onto him, and put him back in his bed.
I've looked at your file, and while you've been in prison for, I think you said 3 years,
yes,
you've
sir.
taken Money Smart. Have you taken any other programs while you've been in prison?
I've got 2 more. I took one for Cajun Rage, which was an anger management class.
When did you take that?
That was back in, well, let me see. I've got information with you right here.
2023, just recently. It looks like you just finished it, right?
Back in June of this year, yes, sir.
Right, okay.
And then also,
you took Living in Balance as well?
yes, sir.
What did you learn out of those programs? What did you get out of those programs?
To learn how to control my anger better.
Well, tell me how you would control your anger better.
Not lash out at a person for the wrong reason if it wasn't to turn into that person, more or less of discussing it instead of putting my hands on somebody, I guess. And then on the Living in Balance is a substance abuse class, which I have with the two DWIs, if y'all noticed. Learn to also control how to say no, or I don't need to be doing that. So I've learned a lot from both those classes, and I've also been going to church a lot more too while I've been locked up.
And you're in work release right now? How long have you been in work release?
I've been doing work release since I got here back in April last year. I've been doing compound work here at Southwest TWP for the past year. October of last year, almost October of this year. I used to cut the grass on the compound. Now I work in the garment factory making jumpers, sheets, pillowcases for all the different other prisons around the area.
Have you been evaluated? Have you had a mental health evaluation since you've been in prison?
No, sir.
So you were going to go to a psychiatrist, but you never were able to get to one, and you've never been evaluated? Are you on any kind of medication for depression or anything like that?
No, sir.
Do you think that's something that you need?
I would like to be evaluated to see if that could be a helpful helpful situation.
Well, tell me what your thoughts are now about what you did.
My thoughts are now on what I did, Mr. Williams, which is wrong. I've learned from him. I'm sorry to the family that I put him through all this. And like I said before, I've changed. I'm not that hot-headed person I used to be.
Do you realize what you've put this family through?
A lot of mental anguish, a lot of physical pain, heartache. Yes,
Have you taken anything having to do with the victim impact or anything that relates to what your harm has done to this family?
Honestly, no, sir. I mean, I know I'm no, from what I've been served for the family when I got locked up, I've been served a permanent restraining order, stay away order from the family completely. I understand that. That's fine. I respect that. I deserve that for what I did.
Why should I vote to let you out after you've only served 3 years on a 15-year sentence? What? Tell me why. Give me your reasons why I should show compassion or leniency to you and vote to recommend that you be paroled.
Like I said before, I'm not that person I was.
Why aren't you?
Because I've learned from my mistake.
What have you learned? I mean, you've taken 1 or 2 courses. You just took a course. I think you just finished it last month. You haven't gotten to a psychiatrist. You haven't had any sort of mental health work. How are you a different person other than that you're in jail?
From now on, I'm not going to be that level-headed, uneven tempered person. I'm going to stay away from people who basically, I'm going to say to myself, if I'm granted parole, sir, I'm going to come home, be released, have a job, do my job, come home. No more going out partying. I'm going to be strictly family, work, church.
Well, I hear what you're going to do. Tell me why I should release you early.
Because I honestly think, even though I've served a short amount of time, like you said, mentally, physically, and emotionally, I hope, and I know I've learned a lesson, I hope that I can, you can show, well, that I could prove to y'all as a board that I've changed.
You don't prove it after you get out, you prove it before you get out.
I've proven here that I have no write-ups since I've been locked up. So no write-ups working since I've been locked up. I've done everything on a straight and narrow path since I've been locked up. So
you're locked up. There are people watching you. And the only reason we know, and the only reason you're in jail today is because there was video proof of what you did. I mean, you did that for months and months. And I find it ironic that in your package, you suggested one of the reasons you wanted to get out because your father was sick and you wanted to take care of him.
Basically, to take care of him, it was to go home, cook for him, help him clean around the house, do stuff like that. Not like take care of him, physically take care of him, help him around the house.
I understand.
And besides,
you want your loved one taken care of. You would want someone to take care of someone you care for, just as they trusted you to take care of Mr. Williams.
And I let them down. I'm sorry. I let them down, hugely let them down. I'm sorry for that.
Ms. Bowden, you've got a lot of opposition. You've got the victim opposition. You've got the DA opposition. You've taken very few programs. You haven't had a mental health evaluation. Those are some real issues that concern me. Ms. Cook, what can you tell us a little bit about Mr. Bowden?
He hasn't been in any trouble or anything since he's been here. He does work in the garment factory. We have a garment factory here where they can go in and sew. It's for people that's not eligible to go out and work. He does do that. Other than that, he's been no trouble, you know, had caused no problems.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to hear from any questions. Now we're going to hear from the opposition. Let's hear from Mr. Jeffrey Williams, Sr.
Yes, he.
You're on mute, Mr. Williams. Not yet.
Hello?
Yeah, there we go. We can hear you now. If you would introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to hear.
Yes, sir. Some things Mr. Bowden didn't tell you.
You gotta introduce yourself.
I'm Jeffrey Williams. I'm sorry. My name is Jeffrey Williams, Sr. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay.
You're looking straight at us. You're good with us. I don't know what you're looking at up there.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm Jeffrey Williams, Sr. And behind me is little man. I call him little man. That's Jeffrey Williams, Jr. behind me. And my wife, Valerie Williams. Some things Mr. Bowden didn't tell you is he broke little Jeffrey Jr.'s arm and leg also. So just for facts. In the 6 months that Patrick worked for me, before the 6 months that he worked for me, he was a friend. We did things together and stuff before he worked for me. So with those 6 months, he was a friend of the family, and he was a friend of mine. So I didn't trust him to take care of my son like I would take care of my son, and he didn't do that. He abused him from the first day that he worked for me, and so you know, all this other stuff I hear him say, it's just don't make no sense to me. You know, I just don't. I don't see him changing and all that. It's just a lot of nonsense. Since everything happened, we had to sell our house and move to a different house because my son just was never the same after everything. The house, you know, after he was arrested and everything, when it came at 11 o'clock at night, he started getting irritated, thinking that Patrick was still coming in. So the weeks went by and he still was getting irritated. So we had to sell that house and move to a different house. And it's just been really hard. I took it hard. I've been going to a psychiatrist for this ordeal. So I've taken it hard. My son, I got him in his chair to set it up for today, and he's been fussy since he got in his chair, seeing everything going on today. So I had to give him extra medicine and everything just to get him calmed down to be able to do this for today. So it's still an ordeal for him. It's really hard to hear things that's being said about everything. You read everything that happened, so you know what's going on. And I just 3 years is real early for this. We really did a lot of negotiating on this whole thing to start with anyway. I thought 15 years was very light for what he got, for what he did. So I don't think he should need to get out now. That's what I have to say. Thank you,
Mr. Williams. Thank you, sir. Ms. Williams, do you wish to say anything?
Hang on one second.
Hello. I just want everyone to meet Jeffrey. He's a little asleep right now. And I just want y'all to know that my son's still not right. We still do not have a permanent overnight caregiver because we can't hire for that position because he still has stress issues. So just take that into account, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Meyer, Mr. Randy Meyer.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Randy Meyer, Assistant DA Jefferson Parish, and we're strongly opposed to Mr. Bowden's request for parole. He pled to 74 counts of cruelty to the infirm that, as we know, occurred over roughly a 6-month period. And one thing that is concerning is his lack of accountability of what he did. When Mr. Marabella, when you ask him about, what he did, the only thing he really said was about putting a pillow over his mouth. Well, he did, and the video shows he did substantially more than just that. And he as his father testified or just stated that actually broke his arm and broke his leg. And there were videos of him beating him, throwing him, picking him up and throwing him down, picking him up by the neck. So he did a significant amount of injury to him. So we think that's a problem. And now he's only taken money management, anger management, and living in balance. I think clearly there's additional programs he needs. Mental health evaluation, I think, would be appropriate. And only serving roughly 3 years out of the 15-year sentence is I think inappropriate. I think he needs to serve additional more time and take some more programming. I think the 2 DWIs indicate that substance abuse treatment would be appropriate for him, as well as some victim counseling type programs for him. And finally, as you can see, there was very strong victim opposition. So for those reasons, we are opposed to Mr. Bowden's request for parole.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meyer. Appreciate your comments. Mr. Bowden, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes?
Yes, sir. I'm glad I could be able to meet with y'all this morning, for one. I am deeply sorry for what I've done. I hope the board could let me go home or get out and take the programs on the outside, like mental health evaluation, substance abuse classes, or whatever other class y'all decide I should need to take, whether it be here or out there, I'll do it. I just like to tell the Williams family if they can hear me, which I probably know they can't. I am deeply sorry. If y'all never want to speak to me again, that's fine. But I hope deep down in your heart, y'all can forgive me. I've forgiven them, as well as my prior self. So I just like the bottom line, I'd like to hopefully soon be able to go home and help take care of my family and be back with my family. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Appreciate your comments, sir. Mr. Bowden, the facts of a case is something that we take into account. Ordinarily, most of our cases are bad cases. This is a horrible case. What you did is just inexcusable. And it's very clear to me that you don't really have an understanding or the acceptance of responsibility of what you did. I mean, you say in the words, to me, you need some significant treatment. You need mental health evaluation. You need some treatment. You need substance abuse. You need victim awareness to really comprehend the significance of what you did to that young man and his family. I find it interesting to say that you've forgiven them. I don't know what you've forgiven them for. They had a person who they thought was a trusted friend to come and help them with their family. I don't see anything that you should be forgiving him. You should forgive yourself. I accept that. But I think you need to get to the root of the problem before you can really forgive yourself. You clearly have victim opposition. You haven't served very much time. Sentence that I concede, I believe, is just very light. But I don't know all of the circumstances for which you got 15 years. So I'm certainly not going to criticize anybody for that sentence. But you have a 15-year sentence, and 3 years is just not sufficient time for me to have served that time. You have law enforcement opposition. You need substance abuse treatment. You need some mental health treatment. You need more management, and you need some understanding of what and why you did what you did. So my vote today is to deny you, and I hope that you can. You're in work release. I understand you do okay while you're in work release. That's good, and it's good to be working. And I think you need to be working on yourself more if you would expect someone like me to release you. If you just continue to work and come back before a board like this in another 2 years, and if I would still be on this board, probably would vote the same way to deny. I'm just one vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bowden, and it's hard for me to wrap my brain around the fact that they were friends of yours and you took their money. You took paid for that. And they were friends. You just could have went and said, look, I took this job. I'm not made for this. Because it takes a certain kind of person to work those kind of jobs. And everybody's not cut out for that. They were friends. You could have just said that. But you accepted pay over that period of time, knowing it was killing you on the inside because you just wasn't made for that kind of work. I concur with my colleague. My vote is denied for the reasons already stated on the record. In addition, I think you need grief counseling as well. The impact of the crime, physically and emotionally, on the victim is what really outstands to me. Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Freeman.
I'm not going to go back over it all. If I start talking, I'll probably say something and I'll get thrown off this board. My vote is 100% to deny.
Mr. Bowden, Mr. Bowden, you've got 3 votes to deny. You need some work. I would encourage you to try to take as many courses and to look inwardly to find out exactly what it is and why it is you did what you did. Good luck to you.
Thank you.